with Pokemon's recent statement explaining their willingness to reprint past products, current products, and future products to come. This begs the question to many collectors: which products might we see reprinted? What's up, everyone? If this is your first time to the channel, I'm Cody from Sellig's Pokemart. I run a small online LGS. We specialize in the Pokemon TCG as well as other games and TCG products. If you want to support the channel or our business, head on over to our website, which will be in the link in the description below. Before we get into this video, make sure you do me a solid though. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell. That way you're notified every time I upload new content. Before we really get into what sets might actually be reprinted, I do want to make a disclaimer. This is strictly speculation based off of past trends. There are absolutely no guarantees of what we discussed today actually happening. This is just an educated guess. Before we really dig into what might get reprinted, I think we need to understand why Pokemon does reprint some of these sets. What it always comes down to is Pokemon is a TCG. It is a trading card game. If players cannot get their hands on some of these cards, that means that they're forced to pay these outrageous prices, which could potentially push some players away from the game and taking a break. Pokemon does not want this. Pokemon wants to expand. Pokemon wants to get as much exposure in the trading card game as possible. They're going to make sure that they reprint these products that these players need. That way these players are not priced out of the game. It is very rare that Pokemon reprints a set strictly for collectors. So basically, in today's video, I'm going to categorize a bunch of recent sets, break them down into 3 different categories based off of what's most likely to get reprinted, what's possible to get reprinted, and what has slim to no chance of being reprinted. Like I stated, this is a game, and to better understand what is more likely to get reprinted, you need to understand how the game works and how legal tournament play works. Typically, a set is in rotation for about 2 years. The 2022 rotation started back in September of this year. That rotation consists of 2 different regulation marks, Regulation Mark D and Regulation Mark E. Now, to see what cards are legal in tournament play for this rotation, you would just check the mark at the bottom corner of the card, and you will see either a D or an E with these more recent sets. That confirms that those particular cards are legal for that rotation. If cards from a particular set do not contain that letter, those particular cards are very unlikely to be reprinted. So let's start off with the sets that have very little chance or 0 chance of making the cut for a reprint. Almost a year ago, there was a rumor going around that XY Evolutions was going to get a reprint later this year. It is later this year, and we have still not seen a reprint. Now, I discussed this at the beginning of the year on my channel, and I explained that I really highly doubt that this was actually going to happen. This set is not necessary for the TCG. Players in legal tournament play do not need the singles from this set. This set was also already very heavily printed in its day. This set came out back in 2016 during the 20th anniversary year. Out of all the XY era sets, this was probably one of the heaviest printed sets next to XY Roaring Skies. I think it's safe to say that Pokemon has printed plenty of XY Evolutions. As much as it sucks that some people may not have gotten the chance to experience XY Evolutions back when it was dirt cheap, this set was extremely difficult to sell. This set was extremely difficult to move for store owners. Products were going for less than cost. It was printed that heavily. Now, I also want to group in some other sets with XY Evolutions that I would consider very unlikely to ever see a reprint, and that would be the Sun and Moon era sets. Now, there were rumors that the recent appearance of the Sun and Moon base set ETBs were reprints. I think that is very untrue. I think it's very possible that Pokemon had a lot of Sun and Moon base set packs left over, and they just decided to consolidate them by throwing them into an ETB. To me, that would make a lot of sense and would be a very efficient way to get rid of a lot of packs. Also, at the end of last year, there were a lot of rumors of other Sun and Moon sets being reprinted, such as Team Up and Cosmic Eclipse, and that never happened. I honestly think out of any Sun and Moon sets, those 2 would be the most likely to be reprinted, but at the same time, they are no longer in rotation, and no matter how good of a set they are, is it worth Pokemon's time to completely start reprinting an older set that's no longer relevant in the TCG. The only reason I think that out of all the Sun and Moon sets that they would be more likely to be reprinted is because of the fact that these sets were not printed nearly as heavily as some of these other Sun and Moon sets. That would be the only reason why I think possibly they could see a reprint. Like I said, it's highly unlikely. So now let's move into the mid-tier of these reprints. These are going to be sets that are very possible to actually get a reprint. Now, just because there is a chance that they will be reprinted does not mean that they will be printed into the ground. These sets would include sets such as Sword and Shield Base, Rebel Clash, Darkness Ablaze, Vivid Voltage, Champion's Path, and Shining Fates. Even though these are still very fairly modern sets, I group these in the possibility of being reprinted just because I feel like these do not have high priority in Pokemon's eyes. Sets have been out for over a year now, and they have the regulation mark D, which means these sets, after the 2022 season, will no longer be in rotation, with the exception of Shining Fates. Now, Shining Fates is actually a mixed set. Some cards in the set that are marked Regulation D, and some that are marked Regulation E. If Pokemon does decide to reprint any of these sets in this grouping from Sword and Shield Base to Shining Fates, I do not believe they will be very large reprints. Just because, let's be honest, the fact is these sets will not be in rotation for much longer. Let's get into the top tier, the most likely to see a reprint. And now, like I said, in the last tier, there are no guarantees that these sets will be printed to the ground. There are no guarantees that these sets will be printed to oblivion or whatever you want to call it. And this is just speculation based off of past trends and my educated guesses. You may have a different opinion. You may feel a different way about this. And that is perfectly fine. This top tier is going to start with Battle Styles and it's going to end with Fusion Strike. Now, I do not believe Battle Styles will see a huge reprint if it does see a reprint, but it's very likely that we do see some form of reprint. Now, as for Chilling Reign and Evolving Skies, I think it's more likely to see a more moderate-sized reprint than Battle Styles for sure. And then with Celebrations and Fusion Strike, I think it's going to be a completely different story. Celebrations is mixed because a lot of cards from that set are not going to be playable. So as far as the TCG goes, this may not be high priority to the Pokemon Company, but it is high priority when it comes to collectability. This set has been the poster child of Pokemon all year long. This has been the hype of Pokemon all year long. If this set does get reprinted over and over again very heavily, I think it's going to be more likely due to the collectability than the playability. And this is one of those rare instances where Pokemon caters more towards the collector than the player. Now, as for Fusion Strike, I do believe this set has a very high likelihood of being printed much heavier than the rest of the sets. And that has a lot to do with the fact that this set has been short printed from the initial wave. Now, all these sets in this grouping will be Regulation Mark E. That means that these sets will be in rotation for the 2023 season as well. Meaning that these cards need to be available so that players have singles available to build decks. Like I stated, this video is a lot of speculation and a lot of opinion based off of educated guesses. I hope you found this video insightful, and as always, everyone, let's make like Charizard and keep this passion burning.